Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good morning everyone. So today we are from group 14, which is the last group for philosophy of language subject, under the title Philosophy of Language in Phenomenology and Existentialism, First Condition. Further ado, let's move to the first material, which is phenomenology, will be presented by Mbak Novia. Mbak Novia, time is yours.
Okay, thank you to the moderator. In here, I would like to explain about definition of phenomenology. Phenomenology is a study about phenomena. The word of phenomenon comes from the Unani language. Phenomenon, the meaning in English language is showing. From this word appears, phenomenon means that appears in consciousness. Phenomenology is the source of knowledge and the truth. Please, next slide. There are three statements from the expert opinion about phenomenology. There are Husserl, Georgi and Creswell. Based on the expert above, I can conclude that phenomenology is scientific study which is used the philosopher to get the new perspective about a thing, about the phenomena. It is got from the people experience and how the experience is formed. So phenomenology is done to know the phenomenon which is studied through consciousness, through the awareness of the people. Next. Okay. Based on the Edmund Husserl said that phenomenology as a model and philosophy. There are some keys of Husserl's philosophy. The first one is phenomenon, observation, awareness, and substance. Phenomenon is the essence of reality in phenomenon, which contains noumena. Noumena is a reality which got from the people experience. And the second one is observation. Observation is spiritual activities or spiritual, and the third is awareness is an intentional, and the last substance is a concrete that describes the content and structure of reality and at the same time can be reached. The example of phenomenology, such as nowadays, there are so many girls use hijab. Hijab is the rule of religion. It's not a rule of religion, but hijab is a style. Next. Okay, I think enough for presentation about phenomenology, and the next topic will be explained by Dia. Time is yours.
Okay, I will explain it. What the definition of existentialism and third condition. The first material is existentialism. What is existentialism? A philosophical theory that people are free agents who have control over their society should not restrict on individual life or actions, because the restriction inhibit free will the development of that person potential. Okay, here's the started argue that existentialism contains some elements. There are 4 elements. The first is atheist. What is atheist? No God in their life. So they reject the existence of God, the world, and everything it contained in this world become by itself. They do not create, and there is no purpose for life. And second element is freedom. Humans are free to choose what they want to choose, and they are free in making decisions in their life. And humans should respond with their choices and this decision. Okay, for the responsibility, humans have the awareness of themselves. They should be responsible for themselves. They cannot blame other people when they make a mistake. It means that humans can take decision about without force by the others people, but they can be responsible for themselves. Okay, for the last elements is that is absurd. It is caused by the reality that cannot wait. We do not know when the death comes. Okay, I will explain it to you about the third conditions. What the definitions of third condition? The third condition of a sentence is the condition of the world under which is true. So it means that these conditions must be such that it obtains, the sentence is true, and if it doesn't obtain, the sentence is false. So here's the statement about expert statement. Okay, the first is Aristotle, statement that belief themselves remain completely unchangeable in every way. Is because the actual thing changes. The contrary being false rather than true comes to belong to them. Okay, Gaston. To understand a proposition means to know what is the case if it is true. And the last is from Russell. Although understanding the sentence does not enable you to know whether it's true or false, it does enable you to know what sort of fact will make it true and sort will make it false. So here's the three criteria about to judge a premise's truth or plausibility you can rely on. The first is personal experience. It is consistent with your personal experience. And the second is common knowledge. It is consistent with common knowledge. And the last criterion is expert opinion. It is consistent with expert opinion. So I will explain it one by one. The first is personal experience. So look at the, okay. To decide whether you find this your own self. Personal experience, I mean, whether you have taken cold medicine yourself, if your experience might give you at least some reason to decide whether you assume that premises make sense or not. So if you have taken some cold medicine and if every opportunity you then feel like lethargic or sleepy, you have reason to think that this premises is at least somewhat plausible. On the other hand, if has ever taken cold medicine and then finds yourself lying awake in bed for like a few hours, you will have no reason to feel impossible. So experience are so limited and sometimes deceptive that we can rely too much on this experience, on this criteria, I mean. So the second criteria is common knowledge. Here's the examples of common knowledge. I have two examples here. The first is palm trees are usually found in tropical and subtropical climates. And second is some. To decide whether you find this statement reasonable. Okay, the trees are usually found in tropical and subtropical means. The second question that you can turn in our general knowledge of the world we live in with general knowledge is that most people know, or at least most educated people, without having to turn to some kind of reference source, it covers a lot of what we have learned over the years. Of course, we know that what we think is common knowledge is always what we experience. My beliefs sometimes are not exactly one side or defective with another one. We also know that the new discoveries sometimes show that our general knowledge is actually wrong or at least incomplete. So we cannot assume that general knowledge is a perfect guide to the truth of promises more than personal experience, like I said before. So this, the last criterion is about expert opinion. Here's the examples. The first is PhD chemistry is more likely to know how batteries can be disposed of safely. And the second is the medicine cause size or not. Okay, I will explain to you. The third question here is whether the premises will be accepted by unbiased expert or not. In general, experts are people who have educational experience and credential, in a particular field of activity or study or things. Their opinion no more widely than anyone else. Of course, no expert knows about everything, even in our own field, and there will always be some things that the expert don't agree. On the let alone, we all know that experts are sometimes biased by pride or self-interest, so we have opinion as a perfect guide. So here's the conclusion about the three criteria that I said before. There is no simple formula for deciding which of the three criteria you should rely on. It means that, but you'll need to make some kind of judgment in order to decide whether the argument you're evaluating meets truth condition. And these three, like I explained to you, offers you a good place to start later on. Okay, I think that's all for my presentations. The next presentations and linguistic semantic will be presented by Mbak Ratna again. Ratna, please. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Dia. I'm going to continue complete way things may be possible world or alternative world, one of which is the actual world. Philosophers use the notion of a possible world to define and discuss ideas such as possibility or necessity. Next slide, please. Okay, there is statement from the expert. Robert said that possible worlds are to be more than heuristic aids in mapping the relationship among the formula of modal logic. the concept of a possible world itself must be explained and justified. So possible world is a formula which logic it used to represent statement about what might be true, what should be true, and what one believes to be true. Okay, next. Okay, the argument from Lewis said that there are four possible worlds. The first one is possible world is exist, and the second one are the possible world are things of the same sort as the actual world, I and all my surrounding. The indexical analysis of the adjective actual is the correct analysis. And the last possible world cannot be reduced to something more basic. So in the possible world, the philosopher invite us to think freely, and it is not only offering on the real situation, but in other condition, we can make the other statement that the might be happen. For example, we know that sky is blue. It is true, but we can make argument. We can make argument which logic. Sky is green. If the statement is logic, it may be happen. It may be happen. And the other example is we know that God is exists, but we cannot see God. We cannot touch it, but we believe that the God is exists in this world. Next slide. Okay. And the last, I will explain about linguistic semantic. Linguistic semantic is study word and sentence meanings. Before I continue explain about linguistic semantic, it's not about linguistic itself. Linguistic is a study about language, and semantic is study about the meaning of word and sentence. Next slide. Okay. There are statements from the expert argue that from the Rimmernick and American Encyclopedia, we can conclude that linguistic semantic is very important for the philosophy. We can conclude linguistic study about language and semantic study about the meaning. Next slide, please. Okay, and the last slide about how is linguistic semantic related to philosophy. For philosophy, because semantic is talking about the meaning of word and sentence. Semantic determine about true or not of philosophy, true or not about the thinking or ideas from the philosopher. Okay, so linguistic semantic is very important for the philosophy. I think that's all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.